4 reasons why soulmates can't stay, and usually don't. Not forever, just forever. Love is not only a strange game, it is above all a complicated one. We don't make the rules, but the moves are up to us. We often fall in love, but this feeling is rarely reciprocated. It is even rarer for butterflies in the stomach to turn into a lasting relationship. But we long for one person our whole life long. Our soulmates are supposed to be romantic self-starters who may sometimes be a long time coming, but are at least predestined by fate. If we believe in it, we will meet them. This theory is basically true, but unfortunately the small print once again gets in the way. Our soulmates hardly ever come to stay. They cross paths, perhaps even once in a while. However, this love rarely lasts. We would like to briefly explain why this is the case and why it is not all bad. 1. The path for this is not yet clear. Meeting our soulmate must be easy, simple, and effortless. If one of the two is in a relationship at the time, these conditions are no longer met. Of course, all twin souls are free to overcome adversity of all kinds. However, love that is forced or leaves too much collateral damage along the way does not make anyone happy. Karma doesn't like it when we try to build our happiness on the unhappiness of others. So if we meet our twin soul at the wrong time, the realization that they actually exist is the only reward we will receive. However, attachments on one or both sides are not the only obstacles to a happy ending when we first meet our significant other. There may be professional or family commitments that we have to devote ourselves to first and with full commitment. Some of us may even have debts from a previous life that need to be dealt with. These karmic tasks are also among the construction sites that prevent us from finding our way into the arms of our dual soul. There is a lot to do in a human life. If you weren't able to complete everything in a previous life, you have to make up for it in this one. 2. The timing is not right. In addition to the many obstacles that prevent us from being together with our kindred soul, the time factor naturally plays a major role. Although it can never be too late for this wonderful encounter of the cosmic kind, it is often too early. Some of us meet our life person in the sandpit. Spending childhood and adolescence together is not the worst start to a life together. However, these early starts are rarely linear. Life always gets in the way. Even as adults, when we've been waiting a long time and are more than ready for true love, it can still be too early. We simply don't know what plans will come to fruition and what hurdles we still have to overcome as personalities before we can finally achieve that emotional union. Timing is everything in life. Without timing, everything is nothing. The sooner we humbly submit to this recognized truth, the better. Wanting too much too quickly has never ended well. It may well be that it is unfair of God, the universe, fate, and all the higher powers together to present us with our perfect life person, only to let them disappear from our radar again afterwards. We then feel heavenly, mocked, and ridiculed. It's almost as if we only get to see the preview, but unfortunately not the whole movie. It would be wrong to bury our heads in the sand and quarrel with our spiritual light figures, or even break with them. Nobody wants to torture us, test us, or make fun of us. Everything happens for our own good, even if we only come to this realization much later. 3. You are too young for this powerful love. The soulmate thing is not for young minds and those who are not yet sufficiently familiar with life and its twists and turns. Of course, the idea of falling madly in love with someone at a young age and spending the rest of our days together is a beautiful one. But there are several traps lurking here that fate would like to spare us. For one thing, at a young age, we are not yet able to deal with cosmic or even karmic love. Our first love should be an easy one that gives us goosebumps and leaves us floating on cloud 9. We should first get to know ourselves properly and perhaps learn a lesson or two about life in the process. Besides, we wouldn't even appreciate something as magical as a soulmate as teenagers or young adults. We would take this greatest gift of all for granted and treat it the same way. Only when we have had to kiss many frogs, have been hurt, disappointed, and abandoned, Do we appreciate the value of a true love that was once made in heaven? 4. It doesn't work out in the end. Yes, that can happen too. God, the universe, and nature are known to never be wrong. Nevertheless, it can happen that two souls destined for each other are not the real thing after all. This circumstance is difficult to describe. Perhaps something decisive has changed in the life of one half. Perhaps it's just free will interfering, which we humans were originally given for the purpose of taking our lives into our own hands. Sometimes obligations get in the way and ruin the original plan. We may set new priorities because circumstances have changed, and we suddenly have to take on responsibilities that were never mentioned before. Whatever it is, see it as a detour, not a dead end or final destination. Nothing and no one can separate two souls destined for each other. However, we must subordinate the time and place of their meeting to a higher plan. Perhaps forever. There is hardly a better feeling in the world than finally being able to look our soulmate in the eye and place their hands in ours. At the same time, there is hardly a greater loss than letting him go again. Our hearts seem to break, and we no longer understand the world. However, anyone who has understood that this setback is also just part of the divine plan for us can cope with it. We learn from this life every day. The hardest lessons are the best, even if this realization is not apparent for a long time. First, we wait a long time. Then we are rewarded, only to magnanimously leave the field to someone else again. In theory, you could go crazy with this roller coaster of love that fate forces upon us. In practice, however, the matter is quite simple. Those who can wait will be rewarded. If you can believe in it, you will see that everything was for the best.